Everyone thinks they already know the truth about dinosaurs, but that's an illusion. The most impressive dinosaur facts have been hidden for centuries, far from textbooks and popular culture. And in just a few minutes, you'll uncover fossil discoveries that will challenge your certainties and change the way you see prehistoric creatures. New dinosaur facts emerge every year, revealing aspects that reshape our understanding of the past. The Enigmacursor Molly Borth, described in 2023, brought unprecedented details about prehistoric creatures from Asia. Meanwhile, Tong and Longziming reinforced China's role as a powerhouse in fossil discoveries. These findings show how the study of extinct animals is always evolving. The chosen names also stand out for the curiosity they carry. The longest ever recorded is Micropachycephorus hongchuanensis, so lengthy it feels like a scientific tongue twister. On the opposite end, there's Yi Che, extremely short and easy to remember, describing a small dinosaur with membranous wings. In this way, science and creativity meet when it comes to naming these creatures. This process, however, is neither free nor random. There is the ICZN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, responsible for defining international naming rules. It ensures that each species receives a unique and valid name worldwide. To become official, the record must undergo review, scientific publication, and global acceptance. Without this, the name simply doesn't exist for science. In recent decades, China has become the biggest highlight in fossil discoveries, rivaling the United States and Argentina. Discoveries of feathered dinosaurs place the country at the center of global paleontology. Chinese laboratories and museums are now benchmarks for new research on prehistoric creatures. And as more names continue to appear, curiosity also grows about exactly where these extinct animals once lived. When we talk about dinosaur facts, it quickly becomes clear that they were not spread evenly across the planet. Studies show that the 10 countries with the most fossil discoveries concentrate about 3/4 of all known species. This means that the map of prehistoric creatures was not as vast as one might imagine. Some places held secrets, while others remained practically empty of records. A curious example is the Democratic Republic of Congo, the largest country in the world without confirmed dinosaur fossils. Despite its immense area, there are no formal records of extinct animals there. However, popular imagination created the legend of Makombembe, a creature described as a living dinosaur said to dwell in the region's rivers. This story continues to spark debates among explorers and scientists. Geography also reveals unexpected connections between continents. During the Jurassic period, Antarctica was not just the frozen and uninhabited land we know today. On the contrary, it served as a kind of migratory bridge, linking distant parts of the planet. This helps explain how similar species of dinosaur facts appear in regions far apart from one another. These patterns help us understand how extinct animals spread and survived in different climates. Fossils found in unlikely places demonstrate the resilience of these prehistoric creatures. Each discovery sheds light on migratory routes and environmental adaptations. And as we explore this fascinating geography, one question arises: could today's birds be part of that very same lineage? Few people realize it, but when we look at a simple sparrow on the window, we are actually facing living dinosaur facts. Birds are direct descendants of theropods, a group of predators that includes the famous T-Rex. This means that, in a way, we still share our world with prehistoric creatures every single day. This connection between birds and extinct animals is one of the greatest revelations of modern science. A striking example comes from Europe. Garganivus, considered the first large bird of the continent. It lived during the Jurassic period and showed intermediate traits between reptiles and modern birds. Discoveries like this strengthen the evolutionary bridge that links fossil discoveries of dinosaurs and birds. Each fossil brings evidence of how life managed to reinvent itself after extinctions. Talking about dinosaur facts means diving into extreme contrasts in size. The estimated average weight of dinosaurs was around 4,282 kilograms, but the median was much smaller, about 630 kilograms, roughly the size of a modern bison. This difference shows how there were both gigantic creatures and much more modest species. The Jurassic period was home to many of these colossal beings of the Earth. Among the largest ever known is Dinosaur, a true titan of prehistoric creatures. Weighing approximately 80 tons and stretching nearly 120 feet long, it was one of the biggest land animals of all time. In contrast, if we include birds in the list, the smallest dinosaur would be nothing more than a humble hummingbird. This diversity reinforces how extinct animals managed to occupy every possible niche. Curiously, even the measurements help connect them to today's reality. Imagine an African elephant, which weighs on average 12,000 pounds, yet it still wouldn't come close to the Dinosaurus. The world of fossil discoveries is not limited to laboratories and museums, it also moves millions of dollars. The fossil market has turned dinosaur facts into coveted items for private collectors. Some auctions reach staggering figures, easily surpassing the price of fine art. This shows how prehistoric creatures continue to captivate people even today. The most famous case was that of the Stegosaurus, nicknamed Apex, sold for an astonishing $44.6 million. This price made it the most expensive fossil ever auctioned, surpassing paintings by master artists. For many, paying so much for the remains of extinct animals may seem excessive. But for investors, it is also a way of owning an exclusive piece of Jurassic period history. One surprising detail in dinosaur facts is the vast difference in time between famous species. Stegosaurus lived about 150 million years ago, while T-Rex appeared only 68 million years ago. This means there was more time separating these prehistoric creatures than between T-Rex and us, modern humans. Such a timeline completely changes our perception of extinct animals. Another curiosity is the term thagomizer, used to name the spikes on the tail of Stegosaurus. It actually originated from a joke published in a comic strip in 1982 and ended up being officially adopted by scientists. Researchers believe that Dinosaurus may have been the very first true dinosaur, dating back around 243 million years. This early species paved the way for all the diversity of dinosaur facts that followed. Each new discovery helps piece together the timeline, creating a clearer picture of the origin of prehistoric creatures. It's like assembling a gigantic historical puzzle. At the other end of the timeline, Triceratops may have been the last great non-avian dinosaur. Its reign ended with the asteroid impact that closed the Cretaceous period. Between the first dinosaur and the last giants, 165 million years had passed. And yet, discoveries still continue to reveal new details about their habits and ecology. One of the most intriguing dinosaur facts is that none of them were fully marine. They could swim or live near aquatic environments, but they did not inhabit the seas like whales or dolphins. This shows that prehistoric creatures had well-defined ecological limits. The oceans, contrary to what many imagine, were dominated by other groups of extinct animals. The case of Oviraptor is emblematic. For decades, it was seen as an egg thief. But new fossil discoveries revealed that, in fact, it was protecting its nests. This twist demonstrates how science is constantly correcting old perceptions. It also reminds us not to judge too quickly, since even dinosaurs had misunderstood stories. The lifespan of large sauropods could reach nearly 100 years, something comparable to modern giant tortoises. This longevity was identified through growth marks in their bones, similar to the rings of a tree. This scientific technique allows researchers to calculate the age of different prehistoric creatures. Thus, each fossil tells not only its shape but also its life story. Among the most abundant extinct animals is Edmontosaurus, with thousands of fossils discovered. This abundance shows that it was as common in its time as cows are today in open fields. Dinosaur facts span three major periods of the so-called Mesozoic era: the Triassic, the Jurassic period, and the Cretaceous. Each of them brought changes in climate, geography, and species diversity. In the Triassic, for example, the first prehistoric creatures appeared still small and relatively discreet. By the Jurassic, however, giants began to emerge, filling the planet with colossal beings. One surprising detail is that throughout the entire Mesozoic era, there were no permanent ice sheets. The global climate was much warmer and more stable than it is today. This allowed extinct animals to thrive in virtually every environment. Even regions that are now frozen, like the South Pole, once hosted forests and dinosaurs adapted to moderate cold. Fossil discoveries confirm that dinosaurs lived on every continent, including Antarctica. This global distribution proves the incredible adaptability of prehistoric creatures. It is truly fascinating to imagine that such different animals were able to inhabit deserts, tropical forests, and even polar regions. And this leads us to scientific curiosities that make their history even more intriguing. Despite the name, dinosaurs were not lizards. They belong to the clade Archosauria, the same group that includes crocodiles and birds. This distinction is one of the dinosaur facts that most surprises those who imagine prehistoric creatures as ordinary reptiles. The structure of the hip also divides dinosaurs into two major groups, those with bird-like hips and those with lizard-like hips. Another curious detail is that grass only appeared at the end of the Cretaceous, meaning many extinct animals never saw a green lawn. They fed on more primitive plants, such as ferns and conifers. This absence shows just how radically different the world was compared to today. Each fossil discovery reveals details that change the way we imagine ancient landscapes. During the Mesozoic, even Earth's position in the galaxy was different from what it is now. The planet completed its orbit through the Milky Way in another location, surrounded by different stars. This means that dinosaur facts unfolded under a sky we will never see. These cosmic details connect the history of life with the vastness of the universe. And when we talk about fossils, it's important to remember they are not original bones, but mineralized bones. There's even a curious trick to tell a fossil apart from an ordinary rock, the so-called sticking tongue test. When you touch the porous surface of a fossil with your tongue, the moisture makes it stick slightly. A practical detail that brings scientific discoveries closer to everyday life. Long before fossil discoveries were studied with scientific rigor, ancient peoples were already stumbling upon those giant bones. To them, they were remains of dragons, monsters, or biblical creatures used as explanations for mysterious phenomena. These misconceptions ended up shaping myths and legends that lasted for centuries. It's fascinating to think that the same dinosaur facts we study today once inspired sacred stories. When paleontology first began to develop, dinosaurs were still seen as almost mythological beings. Old illustrations portrayed them as heavy, misshapen dragons, far from the accuracy we have today. Little by little, science corrected this view, replacing beliefs with evidence. Yet those early interpretations still echo, helping us understand how humanity once perceived extinct animals. Dinosaur facts were not challenged only by the famous asteroid impact at the end of the Cretaceous. Before that, 6 major mass extinction events had already occurred on Earth. Each of these moments wiped out a significant portion of life, making room for new species. It's as if the history of prehistoric creatures was always on the edge of collapse. The asteroid impact, known as the KT event, did not only wipe out land dinosaurs. Most primitive birds also vanished, with only a few resilient lineages surviving. This shows how even the most well-adapted animals can be caught off guard by sudden changes. Survival, in this case, was almost a biological lottery for extinct animals. Even so, some species managed to endure and eventually gave rise to modern birds. Each fossil discovery reinforces the idea that today's birds are living witnesses of a distant past. When we look at a hummingbird or an eagle, we are seeing the direct descendants of dinosaurs. And this opens the door to another curious subject: the fossilized remains of their droppings. Among the most unusual dinosaur facts are coprolites, the name given to fossilized droppings. These records provide valuable clues about the diet and habits of prehistoric creatures. By analyzing fragments of bones, plants, or even digested wood, scientists can reconstruct menus from millions of years ago. It's almost like opening a food diary of extinct animals. The largest coprolite ever found was nicknamed Barnum, attributed to a T-Rex, and weighed about 20 pounds (9.3 kilograms). This souvenir from the past helps us understand the digestive power of these predators. Each fossil discovery of this kind reveals data that bones or teeth alone could hardly provide. And while we explore their eating habits, it's impossible not to think of the most famous predator of all, the T-Rex. T-Rex is probably the most iconic of all dinosaur facts, the ultimate symbol of prehistoric predators. Its teeth were often compared to bananas in size and shape, measuring up to 12 inches long. This structure allowed it to crush bones with ease, showcasing the incredible strength of these prehistoric creatures. Despite the fame of its short arms, recent studies show they were surprisingly strong. It's estimated they could exert up to 440 pounds (199 kilograms) of force, enough to grab or hold prey in specific situations. This breaks the myth that its arms were useless, one of the biggest misconceptions surrounding this extinct animal. Science shows that nothing about T-Rex was left to chance. Another astonishing fact: researchers estimate that about 2.5 billion T-Rex lived during the species' existence. This number helps explain why we still find so many fossils of it today. Yet, considering the vast timescale and conditions, only a small fraction survived to the present. This proportion is one reason why each discovery is so valuable to paleontology. The eyes of T-Rex also stand out, huge and adapted for long-distance vision. With a privileged binocular field, it could see better than most modern predators. This trait made it an even more efficient hunter. And if we already know so much about this giant, the next highlights reveal equally fascinating surprises about other species. Not all dinosaur facts gained as much fame as the T-Rex, but many hide surprising secrets. Some hadrosaurs, for instance, developed the curious habit of eating rotten wood. This strategy provided extra nutrients and shows how prehistoric creatures explored unusual resources. Dilophosaurus, portrayed in Jurassic Park as small and venom-spitting, was actually much larger and had no such ability. Meanwhile, Carnotaurus, with its tiny arms, is known thanks to the only nearly complete skeleton ever found. These examples demonstrate how fiction doesn't always match science. Another fascinating detail is that several US states have no fossil records of dinosaurs. Meanwhile, in other regions, species with unique traits have been uncovered, such as asymmetrical ears similar to those of owls. This adaptation allowed them to detect sounds with precision, aiding in hunting or defense. Small details like these bring the study of prehistoric creatures to life. Among the most striking discoveries is Yutyrannus, considered the largest feathered dinosaur ever found. The fact that such a large predator had plumage helps us understand the transition to modern birds. In addition, spherical eggs, nearly forgotten names like Manusbondylus gigas, and fossils destroyed during war complete the mosaic. And each new clue leads us to the most recent scientific advances. The most modern fossil discoveries have allowed something unthinkable decades ago, identifying the real colors of dinosaur facts. Thanks to the study of melanosomes preserved in fossilized feathers, scientists have reconstructed patterns of species such as Sinosauropteryx and Microraptor. Today, we know that some prehistoric creatures had colorful plumage, with stripes and iridescence similar to modern birds. This detail completely changes the image of extinct animals. Another surprising breakthrough was the recreation of the sound of Parasaurolophus using CT scans of its skull. The result revealed that it produced deep, powerful calls capable of echoing across long distances. This suggests that dinosaur facts also communicated in complex ways, perhaps even in organized groups. Stomach contents have also been found fossilized, providing concrete proof of the herbivorous diet of certain sauropods. This evidence eliminates speculation and confirms that they fed on specific plants. Each new study broadens our understanding of how these extinct animals lived and survived. And as we uncover more about their life cycle, the question arises of how time itself shaped their existence. Many dinosaur facts reveal that some species were born relatively independent, known as precocial. This means that right after hatching, they were able to walk and search for food on their own. Such a strategy increased their chances of survival in a world full of predators. From the very beginning, prehistoric creatures were prepared to face the challenges of their ecosystem. Another curious detail is that during the Jurassic period and the Cretaceous, days were shorter and years were longer. This was due to Earth's rotation, which was different from today. Imagine living in a world where time seemed to flow at a different pace. These conditions directly influenced the life cycle of extinct animals and even their reproductive strategies. In total, dinosaurs reigned for about 165 million years of far greater dominance than that of modern humans. The first to be officially named was Megalosaurus, marking the beginning of paleontology as a science. Since then, each fossil discovery has added new pieces to this puzzle of time. And even after centuries of study, mysteries still remain, continuing to intrigue us. Now that you've learned so many forgotten dinosaur facts, tell me, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep seeing fossils only as museum pieces, or will you use them as a reminder that even the strongest giants can disappear, they don't adapt? The history of prehistoric creatures is also a mirror of our own lives. And if even the most impressive extinct animals had their secrets revealed millions of years later, why shouldn't you start today to explore your own limits? The Jurassic period teaches us that nothing is permanent, but there is always room to learn and to evolve. Leave your comment, share your thoughts, and let's keep this conversation going. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll keep receiving content that opens your mind and shows that even the most distant past still has much to teach about the present.